What's up YouTube? This is Detroit Borg, and in this video we're looking at the Speck see-through hardshell case for the 11-inch MacBook Air. Now Speck makes a whole line of see-through cases for all of Apple's notebooks, so the white polycarbonate MacBook, both or all three of the MacBook Pros, and the 13-inch and 11-inch MacBook Airs. I do have one already for my 13-inch MacBook Pro, which I've had for 2 years, and I really like it. It's also the clear version. This is clear. They do sell it in many other colors and variations. They have a satin version, which is a sort of a matte version of this plastic, and they sell it in different colors. But of course I went for clear because that's my preference. It does a very good job protecting the MacBook Pro in a very low profile case without hiding its nice design. Alrighty, so let's take a look around the packaging. Again, just Speck see-through case. On the back you have this seal for the 11-inch MacBook Air. We have some instructions on how to install it. Basically, it's a two-piece design. One piece goes on the bottom, another piece goes on the top. It gives you access to all ports. It actually has a design which helps you to open the MacBook Air without tilting it backwards. So we'll try that out and see how that works. And on the other side, we have the color swatch telling us what color this is, and of course this is clear. So let's go ahead and crack this open. So there's the top cover. Here's the bottom cover. Now all we get in that packaging is the case itself. There are no other accessories. We have the bottom portion of the case and the top. It is covered in plastic, so let's go ahead and get this off so we can take a close look at it. Now if we look at the bottom piece, again we have these 4 feet. This is the foot toward the front of the MacBook Air, and this is toward the back. You can see there's a cutout for the hinge. And the feet themselves are designed a little differently from the MacBook Pro feet. You can see there's this little extension back here that sort of, I guess, prevents the MacBook Air from tilting back when you open it. So we'll test it out to see how that works. These feet actually are sort of punctured through the plastic, so you can actually pop these out. The top piece has the Speck logo as well as these 4 bumpers at each corner of the case. These bumpers make contact with the MacBook Air lid itself, and I guess this helps to seat the case properly and prevents the case from rubbing too much against the aluminum surface of the MacBook. To install the case, all you have to do is drop the MacBook Air into the bottom piece, make sure it's lined up, and basically snap it in. You can hear it snap in. Now it's the same story with the top piece. Just drop it onto the MacBook Air and snap it into place. With the case on, indeed, you can see it's very low profile, very minimalistic. You barely see it. It does add a nice shine to it, actually. If you look at it, it doesn't look like the case is there. It looks like you have a shiny aluminum MacBook. And you can see the case does a very good job protecting everything around the port without blocking them. So if we look at the back again, the hinge is completely free. You can see the foot back here with that anti-tilt feature we're going to test out in a minute. On the side we have the ports free, so we have the power outlet, or the MagSafe power port, the USB port, the headphone jack, the microphone. If we taper toward the front again, you can see it does a very good job maintaining that nice taper point. We also have a cutout for that finger slot for the MacBook Air. On the other side again we have the cutout for the mini display port and the USB port. On the front you see the Speck logo as well as those bumpers on the inside of the case. Now, testing that anti-tilt feature, indeed, it does work very well. Normally I have to sort of hold the MacBook Air down while I'm doing this because it always tilts back. So that actually works very well. I'm very glad to see that. I have a keyboard cover on here if you guys are wondering about that. Just to show you guys how this is fastened to the case, you can see that there are these little tabs built into the hard shell which snap onto the case or onto the MacBook Air and hold on to it. It doesn't do any damage. It looks like it might do damage, but it doesn't. I've had this on my MacBook Pro and it works very well. So you can see one down here as well. It looks a little smaller toward the thinnest part of the MacBook Air. It's the same with the top cover. So again, you have one toward the bottom corner, another one toward the top corner, right there. You also have one right above the FaceTime camera. In case you guys are wondering, the case does not interfere with the palm rest. You don't feel the case at all when you're typing, so that's great. It's the same story with the MacBook Pro case. Now trying that anti-tilt feature from another angle, again you can see that the bottom part of the MacBook Air doesn't even move, so that actually works very good. Now just to show you guys the MacBook Pro version, again it's very similar. Of course there's a lot more material here because the MacBook Pro is quite a bit bigger. The MacBook Pro has a few other features here like this button which allows you to access the battery indicator. And you can see, of course, all of the ports and slots and everything are free. Again, there's a cutout for the hinge, and they also use that same sort of notch fastening system, so it fastens to the MacBook Pro with those little notches. You can see them right here. Right here, so again there's one at the top and bottom. Again on this side it's completely free. The front of the MacBook Pro case also has this cutout for the IR receiver. Again, that's something the MacBook Air does not have. And of course the case does scratch. Again, it's a clear case so you can sort of see the swirling. That's to be expected with the case. Again, I've had this for 2 years, so it's not too bad. I'm pretty happy with it. You normally don't see it unless you're really shining light onto it. But you can't expect this to scratch over time. Now if we compare the bottom of the two cases, this is where things get really different. Again, you can see these anti-tilt feet on the MacBook Air, and the MacBook Pro has no need for that feature, so you don't see it here. The MacBook Pro case also has this big vent on the bottom to help cool the MacBook Pro. The MacBook Air has no such need. I'm not sure if this has changed since I bought this. Again, this is 2 years old. It was actually bought for the aluminum MacBook, not the MacBook Pro. But I assume the design is very similar. But you do spot the one problem I've had with the MacBook Pro case, and was the fact that these rubberized feet sort of turned yellow over time. I'm not sure why this is. It's not exposed to sun or anything. It just changed yellow. So I'm not sure if these are going to do the same. So hopefully not. We'll find out in time. But that's really my only gripe with that case. I'm otherwise very happy with it. So once again, guys, this is Detroit Borg with a look at the Speck See-Thru case for the 11-inch MacBook Air. Thanks for watching.